Welcome back. You've probably heard of multiple sclerosis or might even know someone who has it. But do you know exactly what it is? What causes it? How is it treated? Here to talk about that is Dr. Nicholas Lannon from Spectrum Health, who specializes in treating patients with MS. Good morning, doctor.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm well, thanks for asking, and thanks for joining us this morning. Could you define for those who might not be completely familiar with what MS is and how common it is?
So, multiple sclerosis is a immune mediated disease. So our immune system is what protects us from things like bacteria and viruses. In the case of multiple sclerosis, our immune system becomes misdirected and begins to attack the central nervous system, which would be the brain and spinal cord and optic nerves. When this happens, it can cause injury and disrupt the flow of information from the brain to the body. It's actually the most common neuroimmunological condition. There's estimated to be, from a recent study from the National MS Society, between 800,000 to 1 million people living with multiple sclerosis in the United States every day. And the incidence is very common. About 200 people are diagnosed in the United States every week with MS.
My goodness, 1 million people. So how is this diagnosed? How would someone realize that this might be the issue?
So a person with symptoms that will come to their doctor, and then based off of these symptoms, often they will be examined closely and look for signs of injury to the nervous system. So this will involve looking at their vision, their strength, coordination, things like that. And if the suspicion is high, they'll undergo a test called an MRI, which involves going in a big magnet and then getting a detailed picture of typically the brain and spinal cord to look for signs of injury or scarring, which we call sclerosis, to the nervous system.
And we know there's no cure for MS, so what do you do for your patients to stall the symptoms, to slow things down?
Right. Well, there is not a way to reverse the injury that occurs at this moment. We have medications that come in different forms to try to prevent further injury from occurring over time. So depending on how aggressive your disease is and other factors, you'll be assessed for the safety of different medications to help with this. And they can come in many forms. There's injectable forms, pills, or oral forms, and infusions. So that's kind of a big part of what you'll spend your time discussing with your doctor if you end up being diagnosed with MS.
Who is more at risk for multiple sclerosis? Is it a hereditary disease? Is there a certain gender or age group, or maybe even where you live? What affects, or what are the factors?
Right. So it's not hereditary in the traditional sense. There's not a single gene known to cause multiple sclerosis, but there's thousands of genes that increase your risk. For example, if you have a first-degree relative, so this is like a sibling or child with MS, your lifetime risk is about maybe 4% over the course of your life. Even in the case of identical twins who have the same exact genes, the lifetime risk is about 25% between both 25% between both twins. It's a autoimmune disease, we think, and it tends to impact women more than men, as in the case of most autoimmune diseases. Typically, we estimate about 3-to-1 ratio of women to men being impacted. It can occur really to any age. Most commonly, though, we say between ages 20 to 50, and it can impact any race. There is interesting trends with it. For example, we know that the incidence is higher in people living farther from the equator. So in the northern and southern latitudes, there tends to be a higher incidence of multiple sclerosis. The reason for this is thought potentially to be related to sunlight, vitamin D levels, but that's still being investigated.
And really quickly, is there a collaboration or is there any type of greater risk if someone has COVID-19? Is there a relationship between MS and COVID-19?
So the medications that patients with MS go on work through their action on the immune system. So what I tell my patients who are concerned is to make sure they're following the recommendations outlined by the CDC. So this is things like hand washing, social distancing, wearing a mask. If you have specific concerns regarding your MS or your disease-modifying therapy and the potential COVID-19 risk, I recommend you discuss the details with your doctor.
Dr. Lannon, thank you so much for the time and for the work that you're doing. We appreciate you taking time out this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. If you want to learn more, spectrumhealth.org for more information.